Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye, up, bye, up. And in Menudo style in direct fashion, we're going to get straight to the content of the day. But before we do, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel. It's all because of you. For that, I'm very humbled and I'm very appreciative. I couldn't make it without you or do nothing without you, man. And I know this, right? So Wes Watson, I was told a story the other day, and a little bit of secondhand information, but I believe there's truth to it just because of who it's coming from, right? Now, I'm not going to put them out there, but I will say, man, there's a lot of credibility behind this person. It's 100% facts, right? When it comes to that individual. But, you know, Wes Watson was in the Donovan yard, the only prison yard in California he really walked. Okay. Donovan is a level 4 yard. It's also a reception. And because he's from San Diego, when he pulled up to that yard, man, he was receptive, right? And, you know, Wes Watson being the type of individual he is with that look, man, you would think that the Woods would embrace him and be like, come here, brother, get on fucking over here, right? But for whatever reason, Wes was not the Wes that we know or he says he is, right? Wes was the quiet guy. The guy that just wanted to read, meditate, and work out. Now, ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, when you go to prison, the best recipe for survival is to mind your own fucking business. But if you got a few tattoos, if you got a WW, you will be in question from the Woods. What does that mean? Does that mean Wondering Wood? Does that mean Wonder Woman? What does that mean? Wood Wonder, right? What is it that WW means? Now, according to the West, that's his license, right? That's his license to walk the yard. You had to have your initials on you so everyone knew who the fuck you were. I don't have my initials on me. I was glad that nobody knew who I was. Those that needed to know knew. Other than that, I was good. I wasn't identified by tattoos nor my asshole like Wes was. But at the same time, man, to each their own, right? Wes led his own life and he leads his own life. You know, a man purse here, a man purse there, a man purse everywhere. So Wes gets to Donovan Yard, and this is an untold story. It's never been told before. He gets to Donovan Yard and he finds himself in a situation. Now, I told you in the county jail, he was telling everybody he was a Navy SEAL. He was telling everyone that he was a retired gang member, all these different things that he was saying. And, you know, he was asked several times, you know, to prove himself. And Wes Watson didn't want to do that, didn't want to catch more time, didn't want to, you know, rock the boat. So what he chose to do was have his lady send naked pictures, freaky pictures from the streets to him, which you were allowed to have in them days. And he would trade those off for favors, right? What kind of favors? Only Big Boy knows, right? But he would definitely give a lot of those pictures up to real solid Woods, man, that wanted to jack off to his old lady. Let's just be real. That's what it comes down to. I hate the fact that I have to be vulgar, but with Wes Watson, sometimes you just have to be straight up and vulgar, right? Now, he gets to Donovan Yard, and he thinks because in the county jail he was able to buy favors and stay under the radar, right, for the most part, that it's going to be like that in Donovan Yard. It's not. It's not. You're now in prison. Prison changes everything, right? So he gets there, and for whatever reason, man, he gets into some type of conflict with the Skinheads. Now, Skinheads and Woods do function and program together in the California prison yards, but Skinheads have their own motives, their own agenda. They are their own entity, right? You know, I've always respected the Skins because, you know, they push their movement to the fullest. There is no hesitation with them. They have a lot of different rules and regulations and politics than, say, the Woods. Now, the Woods will rock with the Skinheads because at the end of the day, they're all white men, brother, right? So, of course, you know, Wes Watson getting there, he's going to have to function with the Skins and the Woods. Now, Wes Watson was a Wood. No doubt about it. He had no choice. No white man has a choice. When they get to prison, there is no independence. There is no running with the others or the Paisas or the Northerners or the Southerners. Crips or Bloods, unless you are affiliated with them from the streets, then and only then do you come into the yard. But on a level 4 yard, man, I'm going to be honest and real with you. A white Crip or a white Blood is going to have a lot of issues, man. Skinheads and Woods are not going to allow that guy to function on the yard as a white Crip or a white Blood because they feel they've turned their back on their people and they've joined the blacks, which are the mortal enemies, you know, to the white cause. And that's just how that is. Now, If a white man goes into prison as a Norteño or a Southsider, the Woods and the Skins will not even approach him. They do not want that smoke with North and South. They actually get along pretty good with Mexicans, man. That's just the way it is. Don't ask me how or why. I don't know their politics, but that's just the way they rock. I've actually met Mexican skinheads. True story, right? So that's just the way it goes. Anyways, Wes Watson gets there, and there's a skinhead that's there in Donovan named Mystery, okay? And he takes a dislike to Wes for whatever reason, and Wes gets caught up in a situation that he can't fucking dig his asshole out of, right? And Wes Watson got plaqueated on the yard. What does plaqueated mean? It means jumped, beat up, smashed on the yard by the skinheads, right? See, Wes will never tell that story. He'll never tell that story. He'll never humble himself enough to talk about getting smashed on the yard. Now, I wondered to myself, if this really truly happened, why was Wes Watson allowed to come back onto the yard? Usually, when you're removed from a 4-yard, that's that. Career over. I know, especially with Mexicans and whites, you get no second chances. If they feel that you're deemed and that they have to apply enough pressure to get you off the yard, then that's that. But in this case, it was a personal vendetta. It was something personal with this guy, Mystery, the skinhead. And Wes found himself, like I said, disliked and try to pump up that Stay Puft Marshmallow chest with the WW. He put his bumper out there, right? And he got a flat tire. And that's it. So he was beat up right there on Donovan Yard. He'll never tell that story, though, right? So then Wes Watson goes from Donovan to Arizona for a minute, right? And does whatever he does there, works out, starts kicking it with a few of the Southsiders, man, because, he knows what time it is. Those are the gente that no one's going to approach. And Wes is a very fucking smart individual. He knows enough now by getting jumped and being in the prison yard that you're going to hang around with dudes that are not going to be easily approached, that are not going to easily fold, right? Now, again, he's a white man, and we know that white men in the California prison system do function on the same side of the yard as Southsiders. Doesn't mean they work together hand in hand. Doesn't mean that they got each other's back and there's an alliance. It just means they function on the same side of the yard. Because I could tell you the truth, man, I've seen more things in the California prison system go down between Southsiders and whites than any other groups on the yard. Maybe that was just the yards I was at, but there's a lot of people that could second that notion. You think and you hear these stories about these big melees with whites and blacks, or Southsiders and blacks, or even Northerners and Southsiders. But really, can you fucking point and direct me in the direction of the content, or someone that's showing those riots? I mean, I know in Kern Valley, man, they had the riots between North and South. And then you have a few things that popped off in Folsom and different places, isolated incidences. But as far as like big melees, like the one at Pelican Bay that happened between the blacks and the Southerners, you don't see too many. These are very few and in between, because there's a lot of conversations that happen on those yards. There's a lot of people that don't want to fucking fuck up the program that they got going on. Wes Watson functioned on the yards, man, not as a crazy gangster shot caller would, but as a motherfucker that just shut up and hoop this, shut up, right? Straight up. That's all he did. So when he pulled up to Oklahoma, and we all know the notorious stories about Oklahoma that Wes Watson has told, about how he was involved in riots, about how he fucking was, punking everyone, about how when he woke up in the morning, his aura just woke people up and they knew to shut the fuck up because he was so massive in that prison system, man. Nobody wanted to play with Wes Watson. He was that one, right? Yet I came across a video, man. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this video of a vato that was actually with Wes Watson in Oklahoma. Now he's from Mariana Maravilla. Shout out and respects to that vato. I've done time with vatos from Maravilla ever since I was a kid, and I got nothing but respect for them vatos, man. Maravilla definitely held their own, and I was around during the times, man, when they were tripping with Southerners, man. When Southsiders had them on a green light, I was around when, at one point in time, man, we actually got off with the Maravillas up north in Northern California and Preston, us in the Maravillas against Southerners and Bulldogs. Trip out on that, right? That's a story I've never told. But Maravilla was definitely with the program and the business, man. Nowadays, they function with the Southsiders when they're incarcerated. They don't consider themselves sureños, but when they get locked up, they function with Southern California, with their carro. I respect it. That's the get down. That's what it's supposed to be, right? But this guy right here, man, did time with big old Wesley Mateo Watson, big old nipple Watson, right? Man Merce himself. And listen to the story he tells, discounting who Wes Watson says he is. Because, according to Wes Watson, he's that man wherever he goes and everybody recognizes him, from his fucking tattoos to his massive size to his fucking cornhole blown out in the back. One thing that he never says, though, or how we've never seen, or any of his cellies, any of these guys, man, that he beat up, any of these fucking people he shot cold on, ever come to the internet and stamp that. We've never seen it. I've never seen it. You know, where's all these cellies that Wes Watson was punking and choking out and slapping? Where they at? You would think that they'd be disgruntled, a little upset with Wes, and they'd be putting him on blast. We have never, ever, ever seen that. What we've seen is his ex-old lady let everybody know that he gets pegged and paddled. We've seen people like Big Boy, who used to talk shit about Wes Watson, now associate himself with Wes because he wants him a Bugatti. You know what I mean? And we've seen people like Joey Stacks, man, going on Wes, people like John Bravo, Bubba, Dub S Channel, man, Mud Pit, Mac Truck, so many others, man. Let me just say this. Wes, everybody is in their flow state. Right? That's just what it is. The Shamuta cartel will go down, man. I'm telling you, they got too much people on their head. But let's get into this, man. This Volta from Maravilla is going to explain just how Wes Watson was. And let's see if Wes Watson's truths were really truths. Here we go.
You got phonies like Wes Watson that are just way the fuck out, you know? Well, he's a liar. You know, he's I was with him in a prison in Oklahoma, and he portrayed himself as something else. Like, he said he was in a riot that he wasn't in, that we were in, Mexicans and the blacks were in.
So, right from the gate, this guy was in Oklahoma with Wes Watson. He's calling him a fake, a fraud, and a phony. He says that this man, and I remember that video where Wes, and that was one of Wes's biggest videos when he talked about the riot that happened in Oklahoma. Now, according to this Southerner right here, man, or this Volta from Maravilla, excuse me, this riot was between Southern Mexicans, Hispanics, whatever you want to call them, Southsiders, and blacks, right? And nowhere do I see Wes Watson and his asshole identified in that riot. You know, and I know a lot of people think, well, whites ride with the Southerners, so maybe the whites got involved. But this man is telling you he was involved, you know, at a high level within that riot. And he's going to sit here and tell you Wes Watson was nowhere to be seen nor found. But he claims he was.
We had a riot with the Mexican, with the blacks.
So you did time with Wes Watson?
Yeah, I did time with Wes Watson. So I was in a riot with the blacks, you know, kicked off, shit happened. Shit happens, and he talked about it, and he portrayed like he was in it. And it wasn't about him portraying that he was in it. It was more that after the fact, he started saying stuff about, after the fact, that he was on lockdown for 14 months, that they brought a phone to his door so he could talk to his girlfriend or his daughter, or whoever.
Let me explain something to you right there, and I'm going to cut this man off for a second or two with respect, right? They do not bring you fucking phones when you were involved with the riot, especially to your door, unless you're a snitch and you're telling on everyone, right? You don't get these extra favors. If you were involved in the riot, you ain't got shit coming but a sack lunch, maybe a double up, man, if you're a big dude and you got a little bit of respect. That's about it, right? You're barely going to get a shower. You're barely going to get books, reading materials. You know, visits, no. Canteen, no. Packages, right? Here, put this in your asshole, Wes, maybe, right? But as far as having phones brought to your door, Wes Watson portrays this image like he was just that hardcore that even the cops were spooked and he got all these extra favors. It would never happen, okay? They're not bringing phones to your doors. You're not getting any extra incentives. You were just allegedly involved in a riot, man, which put the safety and security of the institution in jeopardy. These cops, you made them work overtime. You're making them do extra. They are not doing any type of extra for anybody, man. So that's a fucking bold-faced lie. This guy's gotten away with this long enough, man, lying about certain situations. And I don't know what he was thinking, what Wes was thinking, that maybe people wouldn't put him on blast or people wouldn't talk about it. Like, come on now, man. People that have been in prison are like, that's absurd. Fucking Wes.
Right. Which was a lie because they never brought no phones to our door. And only the Mexicans and blacks were on lockdown for like 16 months. No, like we were locked down for like 11 months. The whites, Asians, and the paisas got off after 3 months. So it's just like, dude, he's just like making up stories and people are just eating it up. His Sally was my boy. We used to drink every week together. His Sally passed away. And
this right here is a cold story right here, right? You know, Wes likes to talk about a lot of his cellies. And he likes to put himself in a position of power. He always had the bottom bunk. He always was punking his cellies. He was always fucking getting him in chokeholds, just doing all these things, right? He never got a down cellie. You know, and if he ever did get a down cellie, he always spoke bad on him. But in this situation, Wes Watson talked about his cellie, and look at what happened to the cellie that he talked about. Again, rewind. He talked about being on lockdown for 14 months after the riot. And you just heard the guy said only the blacks and the Mexicans were on lockdown. They released the whites, the Asians, the others off lockdown. And that's usually how it goes, man. That's the truth. The two groups that are involved are always going to be locked down, and they're not going to keep all the other groups on lockdown because they weren't involved. Once they do their investigation, they feel that the integrity or the safety of the institution isn't at jeopardy of other groups. They're going to let them function and go to yards. They're going to see what happens, right? And they're not going to involve themselves in that shit because it's none of their business. That was between Southerners and blacks, man. So Wes Watson to sit there, always on lockdown. He wasn't a Southsider, so I don't see how, unless he was a black man in disguise. Maybe he was. We don't know. Maybe his name ain't Wes Watson. Maybe his name is Devontae Watson. I don't know. Let's go.
What really got me mad was because he talked about his Sally. He made a story up about his Sally that made his Sally in a bad light, right? And his Sally's dead. And the story wasn't true off the top. And then his Sally's dead. So are you gonna talk about your Sally and there's no one to fact check it and everything, right? That's what really, like, you know, aggravated me on with this dude. But I mean, he wasn't nothing he portrayed in there. He just, like, if you ever watch any of his shows, how he acts, nobody acts like that in prison. You know?
100%. This guy's speaking facts, man. He's gonna break it down. In prison, especially the California system, other states, man, it's a little bit more different, right? Not more lenient, some are worse than California. It's just different. But in the state of California and even Oklahoma, because you got to understand, you had California prisoners, so they were functioning under California rules, regulations, and politics, right? No one's gonna act like Wes portrays himself acting, being loud on the yard, screaming at people, disrespecting other cars and other groups, and no repercussions. This man would have been stabbed on day one several times if he would have came with that attitude. In truth, not theory, man. Wes Watson was very quiet, worked out in the corner, slammed a little bit of heroin here and there, and just did his thing, man. And that's the truth, man. Watch this guy break it down.
Nobody acts all like this, you know, a credible hug, you know, nah. Nobody tells you, hey, you're gonna do this and blah blah, and you gotta do. Nobody talks to you like that. Even like if you're a homie and you need to take care of something, nobody's gonna be like, hey, you guys, no, they're just gonna be like, hey, there's a problem right here. Can you take care of this? And you catch the signal, you know. But nobody's gonna be like, you gotta do this. Fuck you, or it's your ass. Nah, nobody talks like.
Again, man, it's prison. He's being real. There's no disrespect there. No one's gonna come scream at you. You're a fucking punk. You gotta handle business. Here's a knife. You're gonna get slit a piece. You know, you're gonna be asked to assist your household, to assist your gente, your people. And if you have pride in your people, and it's basically a threat without a threat. They're letting you know, hey, homie, it's your time. You know what I mean? Step up to the plate and handle your business. You're being asked respectfully to do this thing right now. If you fucking make a big old scene and say no, then you're going to be on that list too, right? It's just the way it is. That goes for the whites, the blacks, the Mexicans, everybody, man, in there. Paisas, others. You know, if you're asked to assist your people, nothing is for free in prison. And I don't think Wes Watson realizes that. Real ones realize that, you know? So all that screaming and you're going to fucking bring me dope, brother. We're going to get clear. We're going to get some fucking clear on this yard. You're going to tell your fucking mom to bring it in. That fucking never happened. That dude would have got whacked immediately. I don't give a fuck how many tattoos, how big you are, who you think you are, right? You ain't that. You ain't him. Nobody is, man.
That's you like that, and he just it is what it is, you know. He's a character. He should do some action movies or something, you know. If it sounds too way out, it's way out. If it sounds like, okay, look it, I'll tell you like this. No one's ahead of the next. Everyone's gonna mind someone, and no one gets to make the decision by themselves, right? Nobody gets to make the decision by themselves. There's no shot callers, and that's it, you know. And there's always someone bigger and badder that's gonna get you, you know. There's no one who just does it the way he wants to do it. That just doesn't work, you know. You can't do all this. You can't stab, beat up, kill all these people, do all this.
He's about to break it down and show you Wes Watson's lie. Now, according to Wes Watson, he did 10, 12, 13, 14 years. I don't know, homie. He did like fucking 11, 12, 7, 13, 14, I think 10 years. That's what I said. You want to touch it? Touch it, homie. Touch it. All right, that's how Joey Stacks would say it when he talks about Wes Watson. But look, let's be real. He's about to break it down and peel back the layers of Wes Watson's lies right here. Wes Watson talking about he did all these pegadas and he did this and he did that and he was smashing people and he was punking people. Once you get level 4 points, it's hard to go down. It takes years to go down to a level 3, right? Let alone a level 2. That's just facts, right? Anyone that's been down, they'll tell you. But according to Wes Watson, he did all this time. He was fucking functioning. He was crazy. He was involved in Oklahoma riots and all this. But he never gained points. His points only went down. How does that happen? Let's trip out.
And still go home early. You understand what I'm saying? I got 14 years. I went home in 14 years. I've never said I did all this and that, you know? He said he got 11, 12 years, whatever. He went home in like 7, 8 years, but yet he said he did all this. You understand what I'm saying? You know?
It doesn't add up.
Right? How do you go from
The math, Wesley can't do math. Mateo Watson. The math is not mathing. Your flow state just got unflowed.
I paroled from a level 4. He paroled from a level 2. How does that work? Your points go up, and you can only go so many down, you know, if you get in trouble. You know, I mean, if you get in trouble, you just go up. You can't go down.
True.
You got phonies.
Anyways, man, you know, we let him break it down right there for you. You know, shout out to Street TV, man. The interview's on Street TV. If you want to see the full interview, man, go tap in. Most definitely, right? I just wanted to react respectfully. You know, Wes Watson, you see him in the background, you know, sitting at a park bench. And that's truly the character of him. He's a park bench guy who lied his way into a bag of money, man. And it's so unfortunate that these lies that people believe, man. There's literally people out there that don't give a fuck how many times people talk about it or say it. They still fuck with him because he helped them to wake up in the morning and do a push-up. Get your lazy ass up anyways, bro. What the hell are you doing sleeping? Anyways, with that being said, man, I just wanted to do this video, put it out there, man. A little bit of a double punch for Wes today. You know, he got beat up on Donovan Yard by Skinheads. That's a fact. And then in Oklahoma, man, his covers got pulled by someone who was righteously there. Wes Watson was not involved in the riot. He did go on lockdown for the riot because the institution did, but was out in 3 or 4 months. And no, Wes, they were not bringing phones to yourself. Fuck, boy, stop it. You know, I can't believe Big Boy and the Shamruta Cartel bought into this fucking nonsense. They sold out for money. We're talking about money. That's what it is. There's nothing else, man. If Big Boy, Big Joe, any of those guys, even fucking Cali, Chuck Basher Muscle, right? The commodity of the watermelon, right? If these guys choose to believe Wes Watson, they're as stupid as fucking he looks right there. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. And that's giving you guys the best entertainment. Again, I don't hate Wes Watson. I don't hate anybody. I can't be a hater, man. I got too many people hating on me. That's their job, right? But I think it's funny and it's entertaining, man. So let's go. The gun.